imagine a world where you don't just, consume energy, you actually trade it.
Mm.
Not with the big utility companies, but like directly with your neighbors.
Right, person to person.
Exactly. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's peer-to-peer energy trading, and it's really starting to happen.
It is.
So our mission in this deep dive is to unpack what P2P energy trading really is, how it works, and why our sources are calling it a significant opportunity, a real business goldmine, actually, that's already shaping the future of clean energy.
Absolutely. It leverages tech we're seeing more and more of.
Yeah, things like rooftop solar panels, obviously, those smart meters that seem to be everywhere now, and blockchain technology, which is fascinating.
That's the key underpinning, really.
You've painted this picture of like a new energy world, but let's get into the mechanics a bit. How does P2P energy trading fundamentally change how we interact with power?
Well, it fundamentally flips the script on the traditional consumer. It turns them into what we often call a prosumer.
Prosumer.
Okay. Yeah, someone who both produces and consumes energy. So let's say you have solar panels on your roof, right?
Okay.
And you generate more electricity than your home actually uses at certain times.
Right, happens all the time in the summer.
Exactly. So instead of just selling that surplus back to the main grid, often for, let's be honest, pretty minimal returns.
Pennies on the dollar sometimes.
Right. An energy sharing platform basically connects you directly with households nearby who need that power right then.
Ah, okay. So it stays local.
Precisely. And the transaction itself is incredibly direct. Your neighbor might pay you, say, 15 cents per kilowatt hour directly.
And how's that secured?
That's when blockchain comes in. These transactions are secured by smart contracts on a blockchain. Think of it as a super secure, transparent digital ledger.
Okay.
It automatically records and verifies every single trade. You don't need a traditional middleman like the utility company managing that transaction.
Which builds trust, I imagine.
Instantly. It makes the whole exchange local, sustainable, and crucially, very transparent. Everyone sees the transaction, the rate, the amount. And this isn't just, a theoretical concept. There was a pretty groundbreaking paper back in 2021 that really dug into these distributed generation systems, specifically supporting prosumers trading their surplus power amongst themselves.
And what did it find? What were the key takeaways?
What's really fascinating and what the research highlighted is that P2P energy isn't just about being green. It's actually smarter for the grid itself.
Smart or how?
Well, we're talking about a significant boost in grid resilience because you're distributing the generation and the load. You're not relying solely on huge, distant power plants.
Okay, less single points of failure.
Exactly. And you slash transmission losses because the energy stays local. Your power might only travel next door, not hundreds of miles down massive power lines.
Right, which is inherently inefficient.
Hugely inefficient. And maybe most importantly, it helps create a much more equitable energy market. Everyone has a fairer shot at both producing, benefiting from solar and consuming energy at potentially better prices.
It does sound incredibly transformative, this shift.
Yeah.
But like with any big innovation, there've got to be hurdles, right?
Absolutely.
Our sources definitely point out some critical challenges, things like privacy concerns.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Navigating those really complex, sometimes outdated regulatory frameworks.
Definitely a roadblock in some places.
And maybe the biggest one, just building real user trust. It's a totally new system for most people. How do these platforms even start to tackle those?
You're spot on. Privacy is absolutely paramount. Good platforms use strong encryption and anonymization protocols built right into the blockchain so personal data isn't exposed. The regulatory side, that's often the toughest nut to crack. Existing energy laws just weren't written with this decentralized model in mind. So it requires working with regulators, often starting pilots in more forward-thinking areas.
And the trust element.
That's where the blockchain's transparency really helps people can see it works fairly. But beyond the tech, it's the community aspect. People are generally more likely to trust a system when they see their actual neighbors benefiting from it.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about what it is, its potential. It sounds great. But the really compelling question, especially for, you, our listener, perhaps thinking about opportunities, is why now?
Right.
What makes P2P energy trading that the business goldmine our sources are calling it today? What's the confluence of factors?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
And according to our sources, there are really 3 key drivers making this a prime opportunity right now.
Okay, let's hear them.
First off, you've got the huge push around climate and sustainability goals.
We see that everywhere.
Exactly. And this lines up perfectly with the boom in rooftop solar adoption, which keeps getting cheaper, and the falling costs of smart meters needed to track this energy flow.
So the timing's right, technologically and politically.
Precisely. P2P platforms are perfectly positioned to, ride this wave. And critically, they can potentially tap into government subsidies, maybe carbon credits, or even form strategic partnerships with utilities who are looking for innovative, decentralized solutions.
Okay, so that's reason one. What's next?
Reason two is consumer preference. It's a big shift. People are increasingly drawn to solutions that feel local, green, and peer-based.
Like the buy local movement, but for energy.
Kind of, yeah. There's just an inherent appeal for many people in the idea of paying their neighbor for clean energy rather than, some huge faceless corporation miles away.
Right.
And that community model offers built-in trust, especially, again, with the transparency that blockchain provides. It just resonates with a growing number of people who want more control and more sustainable choices in their lives.
Okay, climate goals, consumer desire. What's the third leg of the stool?
The third one is that it's remarkably scalable and flexible. This is key for a business opportunity. You don't need to build a national grid competitor overnight.
Right, you can start small.
Exactly. You could kick off a venture with, say, a neighborhood pilot. Maybe just 20, 30, 50 homes. Prove the concept, show the savings.
Demonstrate value quickly.
Right. Then you can gradually expand, maybe citywide, as you gain traction and experience. And it's flexible, too. Beyond just trading kilowatt hours, platforms can add other valuable features, things like demand response programs to help balance the local grid,
Right.
or special credits for EV charging from local solar, or even pooling community funds for shared energy projects like a neighborhood battery.
Lots of potential add-ons then.
Huge potential.
So given this landscape, it sounds exciting. If someone listening is thinking, okay, I see the potential, how could I actually build this? What's the practical blueprint? What are the absolute essentials to get started?
Okay, yeah, turning the idea into a real business. You need a solid, kind of multifaceted foundation. First up, obviously, is the tech foundation.
The platform itself.
Right. You absolutely need to partner with really good blockchain developers and also IoT specialists.
IoT, Internet of Things.
Yeah, the people who understand how to connect the physical world, the smart meters, the solar inverters, maybe even batteries, to the digital platform securely and reliably.
Makes sense.
So you need to build a robust platform. Key features, smart contract capability for those secure automated transactions we talked about, real-time data tracking so users have total transparency. They need to see their energy flow, their trades, their savings, all easily.
User experience is key.
Crucial. And intuitive user dashboards to make it all simple to understand and manage.
Okay, solid tech platform. What's next? That sounds extensive.
It can be, but it's foundational. Next, and maybe trickier, is navigating the regulatory path.
Yes, the red tape.
Indeed. Energy laws, as we mentioned, they vary wildly, state to state, sometimes even city to city. So it's absolutely vital to do your homework and probably start in regions that have favorable policies already. Look for good net metering rules.
That's how solar owners get credited now, right?
Correct. Or look for places where peer-to-peer energy trading pilots are already explicitly allowed, or at least not prohibited. And engaging with the local municipalities, the city council, the local utility early on, that's absolutely key. You need them on board or at least aware and not actively opposing you.
Yeah, local buy-in.
Yeah.
Okay. Tech, regulations, what else?
Then you need a smart pilot design. You can't just launch citywide. You need to recruit a manageable group of local participants, some households with solar and some nearby households who want to buy that cheaper, greener power.
First users.
Your beta testers, essentially. And the goal of that pilot has to be crystal clear. Demonstrate tangible savings. For example, show them you can cut their energy price by, say, 10% compared to the standard utility rate by joining this local trading group.
Proof of concept.
Exactly. Create undeniable value right away. That builds momentum and gets people talking.
Okay, so you've got a successful pilot. How does the business actually make money? What are the revenue streams?
Good question. Several models are possible. One common approach is taking a small, modest commission per kilowatt hour traded on the platform.
Like your transaction fee?
Yeah, very small, typically. Plus, you could offer subscription tiers, maybe a premium level that gives users access to more advanced features.
Okay.
Things like Detailed historical analytics of their energy usage and trading patterns, maybe forecasting tools to help them optimize when they use or sell energy, perhaps even alerts about potential maintenance needs for their solar system.
Value-added services.
Exactly. That diversifies your income beyond just the trading itself and provides stickier value for the users.
Right. And then the final piece, scaling up.
Yes. Finally, scale and partner. Once you have that successful pilot, the data, the testimonials, then you start strategically networking. Talk to the local utilities. Maybe they see you as a partner, not a threat. Talk to green energy groups, community organizations, municipal sustainability programs. You could offer your platform as a licensed solution, maybe a white label product for a utility, or even as a software as a service model. The goal is to integrate and enhance the existing energy ecosystem, not necessarily replace it entirely overnight.
That's a really comprehensive blueprint. Makes it feel achievable step by step. But let's zoom out again. What's the really big picture here? What are the, truly expansive future possibilities, the broader impacts if P2P trading really takes off?
Yeah, if we really connect this to the bigger picture, the growth opportunities are, well, they're immense and potentially transformative for how we manage energy. Think about EV integration.
Electric vehicles.
Right. Imagine your home EV charger automatically prioritizing pulling power from your neighbor's solar panels or your own excess solar before it draws expensive power from the main grid.
Smart charging, basically.
Super smart, hyper-local charging, optimizing for the cleanest, cheapest electrons available right there in the neighborhood. That's huge.
Okay, what else?
Or think about carbon credit registration. The platform inherently tracks clean energy generation and usage. You could potentially package the verified carbon reductions achieved through this local trading.
And sell them.
Exactly. Package it as an additional service or a revenue stream for the prosumers, helping them monetize the positive environmental impact they're having.
Interesting.
And looking even broader, this could be revolutionary for building microgrids, especially in developing regions or remote areas where the main centralized power grid isn't reliable or maybe doesn't even exist.
Providing energy independence.
Real energy independence and resilience, built from the ground up, community by community.
Wow.
But what often gets overlooked, I think, beyond all the cool tech, the blockchain, the digital infrastructure, the real magic here, or a huge part of it, is community building.
How so?
You're not just setting up an energy marketplace, you're creating a platform for direct local climate action. It's tangible.
People feel involved?
Exactly. And highlighting those success stories is key. Showing how neighbor Jane saved $20 last month trading energy with neighbor Tom, and how together their little group reduced the carbon footprint equivalent to taking, 5 cars off the road.
Makes it real.
Very real. And maybe even showing how the platform facilitates reinvestment in local energy projects, perhaps using a small portion of trade fees to fund solar panels for the community center or buying a shared battery for emergency backup power for the whole block. That's where the real lasting impact lies. It's empowering people not just as consumers, but as active participants in their local energy future.
That focus on community and tangible impact, it sounds incredibly promising. But let's be realistic. Any venture like this, aiming for that kind of scale and disruption, must have inherent risks, right? What are the main things you need to watch out for or mitigate?
Oh, absolutely. No question. A big one is regulation, as we touched on. It can definitely slow down rollouts. You might have a great platform, eager users, but if the state or local rules aren't there yet or actively prevent P2P trading, you're stuck or facing a long uphill battle. So adapting to that evolving legal landscape is key. You need to be flexible and maybe focus efforts where the regulatory environment is more welcoming, at least initially.
Okay. Regulatory hurdles? What else?
And then, of course, there are the technical risks. You're dealing with people's energy and their money. So technical stability is non-negotiable. The platform has to be reliable. Downtime is not acceptable.
Right.
And alongside that, robust fraud resistance. Anytime you have financial transactions, you need top-notch security built into the blockchain and the platform itself to prevent any kind of gaming the system or, worse, theft. User trust depends on it.
Makes sense. Reliability and security are table stakes.
Absolutely. But that said, the power of social proof here is really undeniable. If you can get those first, say, 100 users onboarded in a pilot, and they are genuinely saving money, they see the benefits clearly on their dashboard, they feel good about using clean local energy, you immediately generate incredibly powerful case studies. Real people, real savings, real impact.
Word of mouth starts to build.
Exactly. And you cultivate a brand that's focused not just on the tech, but on delivering both significant environmental impact and real financial benefits for everyday people. Impact and income. That's a powerful combination.
So to kind of wrap this up for you, our listener, what we're seeing is that peer-to-peer energy trading, it really does feel futuristic, but it's also deeply community-driven and surprisingly scalable if done right. It looks like a truly compelling niche, ripe for pioneers.
It's definitely more than just a clever business model, though. When you step back, it's a way to directly tackle climate change at a local level. It's about decentralizing our often rigid power structures. And fundamentally, it's about empowering everyday people, allowing them to actually earn something tangible from going green. It feels like a multifaceted win.
So, the takeaway. If you're dreaming big, maybe looking for that purpose-driven impact combined with tech innovation. Well, this deep dive certainly suggests that peer-to-peer energy trading isn't just some far-off future concept. It genuinely looks like an untapped opportunity, a potential goldmine, waiting for the right people to build it. Something to think about.